Alright, welcome back. In this session, I'll just go over the command manager real quick. Not in too much detail, but real quick so I can show you what these features are on top over here. Now, one thing I may not have showed you in the earlier lessons with your command manager, it's something nice to do. If you actually left click on your command manager and you can actually drag it. So now I'm holding the left click and I'm dragging it, and I can actually place it on one of three boxes. This one right here, this one up top, and this one to the right. So for example, say I like my commands to be all on the right side. I can actually switch them to the right side over here and let go, and all my feature commands are now on the right side instead of the top. Now I'm used to using it at the top, so I'm going to left click over here on an empty area, drag it over here to this square over here, and let go to bring all my features back on top. It's always much nicer up top because I have my tree over here, my manager tree, and then I have my section over here as well that if I want to open up something or I want to use it, I want to expand it. So I don't like to have this on top of this as well, on the right side or on top of this. I've gotten myself used to this. Now that does not mean you like to use this. You can take this and place it on any of the three sections, and this is good for parts, drawings, and assembly. So this is not limited to assemblies. I'm just showing you how to do this in the assembly section. Okay, so there's the command manager feature, which is nice. You can use that, but I've always gotten used to this setup, and I will always keep using it just because I think it's the nicest setup that they have. All right, so let's go here and start over here. Now there's an edit part, which you have to click on the part for the option to appear. Now in unedit part, you can actually edit the part in the assembly mode. Okay, and we'll do that in one of the later lessons. There's an insert component mode, which we went over in our previous sessions of how to place a component into your assembly. There's a mate. Now mate feature we'll go over in detail because we'll be playing around with it the most throughout the next 3 chapters. And this will allow you to select 2 features, for example, a surface and a surface, and make them parallel to each other. So you move a part according to another part. You know, when every time you mate something to something else, you kill one of its degrees of freedom. Okay, so you're either if you mate something to something like a surface to a surface, that means it can only move parallel to that surface. And then if you tell it I want it to be a certain distance from here to here, then it can't move anywhere except that distance apart from a certain section. So there's a lot of different ways you can use the mate feature, and the mate feature can get very complex. You can do It's very, very powerful, and it can get very complex depending on what you're trying to do. Okay, now there's a linear component section over here, but it's actually a lot bigger than what it is. So if you click on the down arrow, there's a linear component pattern, circular component pattern, pattern-driven components, sketch-driven component pattern, curve-driven component patterns, and then there's mirroring component. Okay, and we'll go over 1 or 2 of those. We don't need to go over all of them. They're basically a way for you to pattern your part. So for example, if I wanted a linear component, I can actually make 4 of those by creating a linear component, just like we've done in our parts and sketches. We can pattern anything. We can pattern any part in our assemblies, for example, to create 4 of them. Okay, now that's one way of doing it. If we want it basically like lined up 2 inches apart. Okay, it's a nice quick way to do this. So for example, if I want 20 of these in this, now you don't want to sit and keep clicking insert, part, and then placing the part, and then clicking on all the mates to get them aligned. If you know that they're aligned, say for like 20 of these, 2 inches apart, then that's where the linear pattern comes in handy, and you can do that to 20 parts in less than 10 seconds. Okay. There's a smart fastener section. It's very similar to the wizard for the whole wizard, and we'll be going over that in a little bit. Move components. You can actually move components and rotate components with this. There's a show hidden components, and I'll show you how to do this in the assembly a little later. You can hide components that basically say you have a jumbled up or a huge assembly, okay? And there's parts of that assembly that you cannot see that are buried a part above a part above a part, or they're stacked up. You can actually hide parts. Okay, you can hide them from here, you can hide them from here, you can actually make them transparent, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Okay, there's assembly features. Those are features just like the ones in our part feature, but we can actually use them in the assembly, and we'll go over those as well. There's a reference geometry feature, which is also located in our parts, and we've learned how to create a plane and an axis, and as well as a point. So we learned how to do all of those. Those are all the features already there for our part section of SolidWorks, okay? There's a new motion study. You can study motions. So for example, if you mate a gear to another gear, and then you can select and place it, like visualize a motor on the gears, and you can actually do a motion study. All right, bill of material. Bill of material, a lot of engineers and designers know exactly what that is. It's just a bill of material of all the parts, okay? So you want a section where you can, you can pop it up and it'll tell you, hey, where you're using 30 of these screws, 20 of these parts. These parts will cost $20 each. They're made out of aluminum. It's just a bill of material that tells you all the details about all the parts in your assembly. Exploded view will also go over that in detail. Exploded view is really nice. After you've made it everything together, it's almost like that's what exactly it is. What it is, it's exploded. So basically, say you've blown up the part and you basically separated each part from the main core fixed part. So this will be your fixed part, and then say you made it a whole bunch of parts to this, then you're able to drag, by doing the explode view, you can able to drag all the parts away from it and show an image of all the parts with this dashed line towards exactly where every part is supposed to go. It kind of helps the assembly operator to know exactly what each part is going. Okay, so that's one of the reasons it's being viewed. Or if you're trying to show the part or the assembly to a customer, they'll kind of have an idea of what's going on with where parts go in the entire assembly, especially if they want to see the entire assembly. And if it's jumbled up, you definitely want an exploded view, because it'll allow you to see all the parts nice and neatly. And we'll go over that, okay? There's Instance 3D, which enables dragging of and handles dimensions and sketches to dynamically modify features. Okay, and this is always selected, and I'll actually, go over that a little bit later as well. There's update speed back. We won't be going over this really. And there's also a taken snapshot, which is basically a screenshot of your assembly in here. Now there's a lot of features, and assembly section is very, very powerful. Now remember, this is a beginner's course. I'm not going to be going over some advanced things that you're rarely going to use. I'm only going to be going over the things that I know you will need to know to basically start designing, okay? And some of the most complex things, even some of the most professional designers still kind of look to try to find out how to do them, because some things can get really complex during the assembly mode. But we will have an advanced SolidWorks 2014 that goes over all these advanced features, okay? And will help you learn SolidWorks in a more advanced manner. But because this tutorial is for beginners, we will not be going over everything in every little detail that it has, okay? So there you go. This concludes this session of the Command Manager and all the features that you'll be using. So all the other tabs over here, there's a layout tab. You're able to actually sketch in the 3D mode. Okay, so there's a layout, there's a sketch, evaluate and office products are basically in every single tab that you've seen, but in this one you will be focused in the assembly mode for the assembly section of SolidWorks.